With Bitcoin staying in a consolidation pattern, the question of how much longer do we have to wait before the next big move remains on the table. So let's take a look at the price action that we've seen since the last week and try to figure out where Bitcoin might go from here. As you can see, over the last week, Bitcoin has been trading in this range, where it's made lower highs and higher lows, which means the trading range is getting tighter. This is not necessarily bullish or bearish. It means that we're getting tighter and tighter until something happens and Bitcoin breaks one way or the other. There are no perfect ways to predict when Bitcoin's going to make its next big move. One of the things I like to do is draw trend lines just to get a general idea of how much tighter it's getting and how much tighter it might get before we see a big move. As you can see, when you draw these two trend lines, you've got this triangle that's aimed downwards, which means it's bearish. A lot of analysts will tell you that this means that the Bitcoin will actually break to the downside when it does break. And that could happen at any point. It doesn't have to get all the way to the point of the triangle before it will happen. Additionally, you can see these parallel channels that I drew a couple of weeks ago are still giving us different levels that we could watch. And it is possible that Bitcoin could make it all the way here, which is June 11th, before it breaks out, one way or the other, up or down. My approach to Bitcoin is to do things small. So what I would do if I hadn't already built a position is I'd probably start higher than the low of this day. This day was $25,885, so maybe I'd start at $28,926 or somewhere around there. And I'd buy a really small allocation. For example, right now, my position is about 0.25% of the entire allocation I want. That's right. I'm more than 99.5% in cash when it comes to Bitcoin because I'm waiting for its next big move. Bitcoin's so volatile that you should always be patient. You should make small buys. You need to remember that you can always buy an asset at a higher price, but you can't buy it at a lower price unless you've kept some cash on the sidelines. And although it's fun to be bullish about your investments, you need to keep the bear case in mind. Never worry about the high quality problem. I'm always long in my investments, so I'm always bearish. I don't worry about the stocks or the Bitcoin going up in value because that just means I make money, and you never worry about the high quality problem. I always worry about the bear case scenario. If the asset sells off, how low will it go? When will I start adding? And what's my max loss potential? In other words, how much am I willing to risk? When am I done buying this asset? It's important to make your buying and selling plan in Bitcoin in advance because once the volatility hits, the emotion of either being excited about it going up or devastated that's going down might make you make a mistake. If you make your plan in advance when you're not emotional and you can be logical about it, you're much more likely to stick to it when the volatility kicks in because the volatility will kick in. Since not much has changed since last week, we can see when the next big move's going to happen. If Bitcoin breaks through 27,470 on the upside, it could make an attempt for its 2023 high, around $31,000. If it breaks through there, it could go all the way up to 40, right around 38,000 is the next point of real resistance. If Bitcoin breaks lower than the $25,885 mark, it's highly likely that the next level of support at $25,818 won't hold. And it will break through lower than that. Looking at our parallel channels, you can see that we've got another level of support somewhere around $25,000. And after that, we go down to the next level, which is around $24,115. Or if we look at the past, $23,944. If that low breaks, we've got an air gap, and it's going to be much longer before Bitcoin's going to find any kind of support. With a bottom down here at $22,000, followed by a key level of support at $20,627, and finally the low of 2023 at $19,300. I will have a larger position if it gets down to its 2023 lows, but I'm still keeping the vast majority on the sidelines because many bearish analysts still say we're going to see Bitcoin break through its 2022 lows, not finding support until the $12,000 to $13,000 range. However, I always plan for both directions, and if those bearish analysts are wrong, I want to be in Bitcoin in case it breaks to the upside. I can always raise my cost basis by buying at higher levels, but if I have a small amount, at least it takes some of the FOMO away. To learn more about long-term investing and follow along on all of my Bitcoin moves in my week in review, check out my website, getirked.com, which is always 100% free. Please hit like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out, and I'll see you in the next video.